Welcome to Families in Action, brought to you on our hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I am Bob Sheritz in studio with our host, Cary Quashen. Hey, Cary.
Bob.
I haven't been here in a while.
No, what has it been, 3 weeks?
It's been at least, maybe even 4. Yeah, it's been at least 3 weeks.
It's been a long time.
So,
I almost forgot what you look like.
Well, here I am. Wait, let me look at the camera. Here I am.
But I do see you at work. So, I mean, you know.
Well, I sure have missed being here. I tell you what, this is one of the highlights of my week. I love doing the show because you guys, for many, many years now have put out such great information to the I think this is one, besides Henry Mayo's Behavioral Health Unit, I think this is one of the best little secrets that nobody knows about is this show, this show here. So tell your friends to get on air and listen with us, any listeners out there. But
yeah, this is really one of those kind of shows you don't want to miss because we really do have our finger on the pulse of what's going on out here in not just in Santa Clarita, but throughout everywhere when it comes to substance abuse and kids and that kind of stuff. So usually we know what's going on before mainstream media even hears it or even knows it's out there. So it's really a good place to get information.
Well, I tell you what, in terms of drug trends, many of them, probably most of them, start right here in Southern California. So before it hits the rest of the country, it starts here in Southern California. And, a couple of years ago, maybe 3 to 5 years ago, there was a lot of talk about, oh, my God, Santa Clarita has this huge drug problem. And although that's true, it's no different than any other place in the United States. But we're talking about it more, and we see it more.
And by the way, not only are we talking about it more, we're kicking its
doing
butt
stuff
a little
about
bit
it.
more
That's
than
right.
any other city because we're so proactive. The city, all of us, Action, the city, the sheriff's department, the school district, KHTS, everyone is so involved right now in making a difference and beating our drug problem up that we're making a big difference. Sometimes it doesn't feel that way because there's so many drugs everywhere right now, but I know we're making a difference.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I know we are.
Absolutely. Well, I don't, we live here, so what we see is here, but everywhere I go, there is, on a daily basis, numerous people who are in recovery, and they're spreading the message of recovery. It doesn't matter where you go. We had a young lady stop by our office today just to check in and, hey, I'm a success story of Action, and I love when that happens.
Well, here's what happened to me last week, okay? I'm going through Starbucks. I'm ordering a drink, and the guy says, and this is really in one day all this happened, okay? The guy goes, thank you for my 4 years, Cary Quashen. And I looked, I was like, whoa. It was somebody that went through our treatment center.
Right.
So how cool is that? So then I want to go fishing. There's no way to get on a boat. So I'm at the office, and I called Ventura County Sport Fishing. And
they're like, hey, I know you.
And we're talking to the manager of the sport fishing, and he says, I'm not going to mention his name. He says, I went through your program. I got 6 years sober. You're on my boat.
Nice.
And I'm not done.
Right.
Then I go to one of the local high schools where we have group, and the night janitor guy comes up and says, thanks for my 8 years.
That's right.
So, all in one day. So are we making a difference? Yeah, we're making a difference.
Yeah, of course we are. So Families in Action is brought to you by Action Family Counseling. Action Family Counseling is rehabilitation centers for both adolescents and adults. We serve a population in separate facilities of adolescents and adults, but our age range is 12 years old and up. And don't think we don't get people who need it that are younger than that, but 12 years old is the population we serve and up. We also have intensive outpatient programs in many locations in and around Southern California, but our home base is here in Santa Clarita. And Families in Action, of course, is brought to you by KHTS. We've been on the air here for 12 years. Very big shout out and thank you to the Goldmans and KHTS for supporting not just us, but so many other organizations.
Absolutely. And also, as quiet as it's kept, Stephanie Weiss is still involved.
Stephanie, shout out.
And I know she's in Texas and she listens to us, but she helps produce the show and gets guests and that kind of stuff and sends us our material and all that stuff. So, hey, we love you, Steph.
Yeah, we do love you, Stephanie. And Families in Action is also brought to you by the Action Family Foundation, which is the nonprofit of Action, and it is responsible for many of the free services that are provided in Santa Clarita, drug testing and symposiums and presentations and trainings and all the different panels that we take into the schools and things like that. But really, the foundation of the foundation. The foundation of the foundation is the Action Parent Teen Support Program. And so the Action Parent Teen Support Program meets every Tuesday night at Canyon High School in the AA building at 7 p.m.
And I will be
Cary is there every week.
Tuesday.
So if you want to go say hi to Cary, stop on by. But I tell you what, if you have a teenager, whether or not you're in the middle of any kind of crisis.
Or an adult.
Or really.
It's really because we have a parent and a teen support group. Once the kids are in their room, they're in their room. We're dealing with parent and parenting issues and that kind of stuff. You know, somebody was asking me about the parent-teen support group and why the parents have to go. Here's the deal. If I had,
it's more important for the parents to go, right?
Yeah, here's the deal. If I had a choice of taking, we have about 40 or 50 kids show up every Tuesday, and about 30 or 40 parents. If I had to send the kids or the parents home, guess who I'd send home?
Send the kids home.
I'd send the kids home because, unfortunately, you don't help kids working with kids. It helps, obviously, but you really help kids empowering parents.
Right.
So this is a place where you guys come, you get knowledge, and remember, knowledge is power. And I have to say this, too. I was talking to somebody that says, I'm afraid to go. I feel like a failure. Somebody that says, I have an issue, and I want to go and learn how to help that issue, I don't look at that as a failure.
No, that's more like a hero.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, really, right? You think about it?
Yeah. So, hey, when things get broken, if your car gets broken, you take it to a mechanic. You don't try to fix it. If your watch isn't working, you go to a watch repair. If you have problems with your kids, go to the experts that know how to deal with that.
That's right.
That's what we do best.
Well, and that's the big success of Action overall is, of course, the incredible staff and the clinicians that are involved. And Cary, your vision for many, many years now. But if we didn't have family involvement, if we didn't have family involvement and parent involvement, we may have some mediocre success. But because we insist upon family involvement, we have an incredible success. So.
We do. On that note, Bob, this is Families in Action on our hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Families in Action on our hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS. I'm Cary Quashen. I am your host. I have my co-host. I have different co-hosts. You know that?
Yeah.
I mean, you're the.
I've been here for a while.
Yeah. You're probably the one the longest. Well, you and Stephanie, right? And then Mike Doherty, which is he'll be in and out with us. And hey, so let's go with trends, Bob.
Yeah, let's talk about drugs.
Yeah, let's talk about drugs. But, I have a daughter, which I love very much, Courtney, and she's not feeling well. If she's listening, I hope you feel better, Courtney. She's got a little throat going on, but she goes to some of these parties, too. She's 17 years old.
Right.
And you know what she said? She says, Dad, it's everywhere. I mean, right now, the big drug out there is cocaine and crystal meth.
Right.
And the crystal meth is exploding right now, everywhere.
Well, you remember about, it must have been a year and a half or two ago, heroin was everything we talked about, and it still is a lot. Well,
right? By the way, it's still the biggest. Opiates is still the largest. Benzos and opiates are still the largest, but erases everything before it. And crystal meth and cocaine are making a tremendous, I wouldn't say comeback, because I don't know that they ever went away, but they're sure coming back stronger.
Well, I'll tell you, the kids that I was talking to, I was getting feedback in a lot of the schools, and their feedback was something like this. We've got the message about opiates. Like, we're hearing you loud and clear. And, we're seeing people dying all around us from the stuff and overdosing all around us from the stuff. And we got that message loud and clear. So we're just going to go do meth and coke instead because we know that won't kill you like opiates does. That's the feedback, right? That's the message.
Well, here's the deal. The opiates are starting to frighten the young people.
Right.
Because everybody now knows, number one, they're physically addictive.
And you can die first time. You could die.
Not only are they physically addictive, they're expensive. Yeah. So people are getting scared. Now, 15 years ago when crystal meth was huge, it was all over the media. The news. I was on the news probably 15, 20 times talking about it. I remember I did a show with Montel Williams. This was terrible. It was also on CNN where a young couple, were lost in the snowstorm. And the cell sites were down. You could talk, but they couldn't pinpoint where they were, satellites. Right. And it was all over the media. And these poor people were saying our car is broken down and there's people in the trees and everybody wants to kill us. He called 4 times saying we're dying, we're freezing to death. At the end of the day, they were both dead. And they were about a block away from town. Right. And their car wasn't broken down.
They were just paranoid, extreme paranoia and delusions and hallucinations.
Paranoid and delusions. Yeah. But that kind of stuff was all over the media, so people were getting frightened about crystal meth. Yeah. So we made a tremendous impact on users. So that kind of took a back seat. Now, it never went away, but it took a back seat. Then all of a sudden, the opiate explosion came with the prescription pills and everybody going to the docs and getting addicted to these prescription pills. Some people with no track record of substance abuse even.
And all of a sudden they are physically addicted to opiates.
Exactly. Right. And along with physical, then obviously comes the emotional. Yep. Usually the emotional addiction comes first, but with the opiates, it could be the physical, then the emotional addiction. So what happened then is, the pills took over and then people went doctor shopping. The doctors got tired of them. They went to the connections. It got too expensive. The connections say, as you always say, hey, try this. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden,
all of a sudden, my $80 habit went down to $10, and it's just as strong and just as powerful and easily accessible.
And by the way, I'm not a junkie because I'm not shooting it in my arm. I'm smoking it. And for the youngsters, it became almost like a club drug, like what's
like
the word?
A designer drug,
like a designer drug, exactly. So it went from the dark of the alleys, in the shadows where everybody was afraid, to the parties in suburbia California and everywhere around the country. Right. So it changed the game.
Well, and we don't judge. I mean, when I say we, I mean those of us that work in treatment. We don't judge necessarily the severity of a drug by death necessarily. Right. I mean, there are some drugs such as heroin or various opiates.
Well, what's the most prescribed drug in the world?
Xanax. Which is a benzo.
Which is a benzo. What's one of the most deadliest drugs coming off of?
Xanax. Well, not necessarily Xanax, but benzos. Yes.
Benzos, even more dangerous than opiates,
heroin,
heroin and painkillers. So benzos really are one of the most dangerous.
Yeah. Well, but when we look at severity of a drug, and when we look at a drug like methamphetamine,
the only reason I said that, Bob, is because when people hear heroin, they go, oh. When people hear cocaine and crystal meth, they go, oh. When people hear now
Xanax,
they go, oh, well. Yeah. So,
or even alcohol, which is more deadly than any of them, right?
So you take Xanax and you take benzos, right? Yeah. And alcohol, they're the two most deadly drugs there is. Kills more people than all the other drugs.
Well, and we judge severity of a drug by not just the deaths it causes, but by the impact on all the social aspects in a person's life. And when you're talking about a drug like methamphetamine, you're talking about a drug that will create delusions and illusions like you were talking about earlier. People really believe that stuff is happening, and they go crazy right in front of you. And before they know it, they can't get themselves back.
I think out of all the drugs, and I've been doing this 30-plus years, and I'm recovering for 34 years myself. But out of all the drugs that I have ever seen, crystal meth is probably the most disgusting.
It's nasty, isn't it? Nasty drug,
man. Disgusting drug that's ever been around.
Yeah.
And
it's making a comeback.
Well, it never went away.
Well,
it's getting more popular. How's that?
It is. And we'll tell about